Alright, take 27 or version 27, I don't know. We're going to discuss low speed noise on 16 and newer non-turboed Polaris vehicles. This would be 900 RZRs, 1000S, XP 1000, General 17, Ranger 1000 in particular, not 900 Rangers and not turbos. Okay, so we talked about this before, just new information. We're trying to solve it for you. Funny, I just got off the phone with a belt manufacturer that was seeking some help, and they, not my company, but somebody I'm friends with, and I said, you're not going to get away from it. The problem is the secondary. It is just simply the design of this clutch. It's smaller bushings. It's called load over diameter. This clutch has it's exaggerated, but a wobble creates a harmonic noise. It's slow speed. The moment that you build up enough speed and it opens, it stabilizes and the harmonic noise goes away. That's why if you have it, if you do, normally 5 in low, 10 in high, it goes away when this happens. Okay, now so this can happen with an OE belt, Hunterworks, Gauge, G-Boost, whoever, doesn't matter. And it can happen, sometimes it could be with this one and not with that one. It is not, and I cannot stress this enough, it is not the stinking belt, and I don't care if when you swap to another one of any brand that it was the belt causing it. It just is reacting with that belt differently. Okay, so just in the subject, the source of the noise is the secondary clutch. This other company that I was just talking about was having a problem with a new belt they're not even out with yet. Okay, now what I wanted to bring up to you today is that, so at Hunterworks, we're known with our belts, depending on the model, 900s, Generals, Rangers, whatever, anything but an XP 1000, our standard belt is thicker. And it's an advantage for all those vehicles because thicker means more belt grip. You touch the gas, you move. People love it. It's awesome. The only problem is on those vehicles, they have thin belts, and you put a thicker one on this secondary, it can create a noise. All right, so we went back to the drawing board. We changed dimensions on our standard belt and our thick belt to open up this secondary clutch up some. The thick opens it up and for the most part takes care of it. The standard a little bit, but because it's thinner and opens it, it does well. So we were trying to give you the best of both worlds, get a thicker belt and not have any more noise. But again, we've been chasing our tail because it's this belt, that belt, whatever. It ain't the belt. Okay, now, but what the video is actually about is hey man, I got your new quiet thick belt and I have noise. Well sir, there is only one reason that you would still have the noise with our new thick belt, which is an 1/8 inch shorter and 30 thousandths an inch wider than our previous version, because it is literally opening this clutch up about 50 thousandths or so of an inch and getting it past the noise. There's one reason only, and this is what it is. Your two clutches center diameter is supposed to be exactly 10.5 inches apart. Unfortunately, the way the engine and the transmission are mated, there is some adjustability. It gets out of whack. It can be out of whack at the factory. Okay, so let's use some exaggerated numbers to make a point. Okay, if my razor is perfect here because I've used our SDI alignment tool on it, we do our belts on it, and we made it to where it would open up 50 thousandths of an inch, and the primary's here, and the belt, you know, is around it. and it's pulled down in there because it's tight. Now let's exaggerate. Let's move this clutch closer to this one. Is our belt tight anymore? No, it just got loose. Here's a belt, you know, it's tight, and then you move it closer, it gets loose. Well, that's obviously exaggerated, but when we loosened it up, well, guess what? What we just did to fix your problem ain't fixing it, because your shafts are too close together, and that clutch is staying closed, and you get that harmonic noise. Had an email today. Today is, heck, I don't know, once again, I never know the date, but it's September the 10th, I think, 2019. And I had a guy today, he said, I got 16 XP1000, bought you quiet, thick belt, and it's noisy. I told him shaft spacing's off. And so he went and put that same belt on a 16 or newer RZR 900, and it was quiet as a church mouse, just like it's supposed to be. And I'm sure he was like, what the crap, I thought I could blame the belt. Well, they couldn't, because I done told him it ain't the belt, it's your clutch. So then he took the secondary clutch off the 900 and put on the 1000, and guess what? The noise returned, and he says, it ain't secondary, because it didn't make noise over here and it made noise here. It must be in the primary. No, sir, it's a secondary. And if you'll understand what I was saying, is your 1000 has shaft spacing issues. Your 900 does not. So the belt is doing exactly what it was designed to do on your 900, but on your 1000, your pulleys are too close together. Even when you change to the quiet one, it's not that. They're too close, and that belt goes back up, clutch closes back up, and here comes the noise again, okay? Now, again, I want to reiterate, this is not a Hunterworks belt issue. The only time that I would say, and I don't even like to say it like this, the only time it's an issue is you can take, let's just use stock machine that the shaft spacing is perfect, and a 900 RZR with a thin belt, or a General that has the thinnest of all belts. Well, they don't make any noise. Put a thicker belt on them. You can go buy a Polaris XP1000 belt that's thicker, or a Hunterworks or whatever, and it'll turn the volume up. All right, this is before the change we just recently made. Okay, so we wanted to offer you a thicker belt that's also quiet. Because obviously a thicker belt on these new secondaries is somewhat noisy. All right, so then we come in and make dimension changes to open up the secondary and which fix the problem, but then you got vehicles that have shaft spacing issues. So our fix can't fix it if you still have an issue. All right, now this is not normally that big of an issue for us on an XP1000, because that belt, stock or anybody else's on that machine, has more low speed noise than anything else. Why? Because it already comes with a thicker belt from the factory. Our standard belt's the same dimensions. They already are used to it. All right, and our thicker technically as a general rule is not much more noisy on theirs, but even the ones that are, only because of shaft spacing. What separates 900s and Generals and Rangers or whatever apart is those all come with really thin belts, and our standard belt is thicker, and with that dang secondary, it picks up that noise. And so again, we're trying to make you do better. You know, touch the gas smooth, less jerky starts. The cool part is nobody ever complains about how well what we're doing works. Man, I love it. I hate it's noisy on mine. We'll fix your shaft spacing issue and it goes quiet again, okay? But that poses a problem. How do we fix it? Depending on the vehicle, there's an SDI alignment tool, but it's $239. And I don't want nobody having to pay $239 just to fix the low speed noise. And then, what if you just happen to have a bad secondary that's noisy in itself? Okay, so the purpose of this video is to let you know that Overall, our changes have been so positive, but there's still a few holdouts, and those holdouts are the one that I'm going to send a link to this video in an email. So overwhelmingly, I'm getting, oh my God, I had a noisy factory belt, yours fixed it, hallelujah. That's overwhelmingly what we get. We still get the minor holdouts, and I guess I'm repeating myself 2 or 3 times here, that we can't, and those people need an explanation. To talk like the President of the United States, the old one we used to have, he wants to be transparent. Well, that's how we are. If it hurts us, it hurts us, but you should know we're working for you, and all these other manufacturers that are trying to do the same thing are running in the same thing, hence this phone call I got from a friend at a different company that I don't buy from. I even helped him out to tell him what the problem was, and he was like, "You're kidding me." I was like, "Nope, I don't think anybody in this country has spent more time on this subject than I have." And interestingly enough, the company that makes these for Polaris will not admit it, but that's okay. All right. Hopefully I've over-explained it to you, and again, we're working toward things. We're not resting. We'll continue. Just hate it for you guys who have shaft spacing issues. I wish Polaris would had vehicles right. I had one guy, brand new 2019 XP 1000, from the factory, his spacing was off 1/4 of an inch. And he was having other problems, because if it gets too far off, it can, man, you can just have a lot of clutching issues. A 1/16th, it may or may not cause you a problem, but it don't take much more than that. But a 1/16th is enough not to let our dimensions do what they were designed to do. All right, I've over-talked it as usual, long-winded as usual. No, I can't hardly talk to me on the phone, we're too busy. Please email me, Todd@hunterworks.com, hit our subscribe button, link up here to us. There'll be links to belts. I'll be glad to help you any way we possible, because that's what we're doing here. We're solving problems. We're not sticking our name on somebody else's belt made exactly the same way the OEM does. And that was another thing this guy said. Our engineers want to make one just like the factory, but they cannot get it through their thick heads that the factory ain't making the belt correctly for that machine. And they do on some, but trust me, the OEM is not, and I repeat, is not always right. I don't care what vehicle you got, none of them are 100%. And then I will lastly include, and I'll shut up, Hunterworks cannot be 100% right for 100% of the people 100% of the time. It don't work like that. There are people that just can't use what we have. I can't use what somebody else has. Just don't work that way. As long as we are in the 95 to 99%, I'm tickled. Thank you. Let me know if you need me.